This YouTube is the result of a PowerPoint presentation. If you're not familiar with the concept of reincarnation, you will surely find this story about transition and after-death choice incredible and hard to believe. Solid proof for any of this is not available, but do consider it possible. This presentation will use material from the book Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts. Seth is a personality channeling from another dimension. There is a great truth and practicality to Seth. The core teaching of Seth is that consciousness creates matter and that each individual creates his or her own reality. Every sunset brings the promise of a new dawn, and sometimes, as it happens, new beginnings are disguised as painful endings. Naturally, many individuals consider death to be the end of all there is, all they have ever known, and all they will ever know. But we are more than physical, and just as every sunset brings the promise of a new dawn, so we need time for rest and rejuvenation. With this presentation, we will take a quick look into what may be possible. Death may be seen as a most sacred and momentous occasion, with much ceremony and ritual, depending on a personal religious belief or culture. Around the moment of death, most will experience a quietening of the senses and a great peace. Yes, an accidental death surely brings shock and surprise, but with death there will also be a release of much pain and suffering. Many a soul traveller will experience moving through a tunnel or entering into blazing white light. Seth says hallucinations often attend a near-death experience quite as real as any in mortal life. Much-loved family members may be seen, to the delight of the travelling spirit. This totally credible vision and experience will be as rational and effective as any experience on earth, thus putting the soul very much at ease. The next phase of the soul traveller will be a shift of consciousness. Christians, for instance, may experience angels and heavenly choirs. Other individuals could see Buddha or Krishna, depending very much on personal significance and expectations. These visions are as real and plausible as any on earth. And sure, there will be those that will experience a deep sleep as a rejuvenating factor. Death, for most though, is a deeply stirring and emotional experience. Seth said, to put it plainly, mass religious movements have for centuries fulfilled a noble purpose, giving us an inspirational and spiritual plan to be envisaged and followed. Do consider that this is not deception, because surely this will be a most sacred experience. Seth also states, in periods or areas where no such mass ideas or inspiration were held, there is more disorientation and confusion. Of course, when life after death is completely denied, the problem of regaining consciousness is somewhat magnified. Many of the departed, of course, are overjoyed to find themselves still conscious and expressive. It is important to realize that, Reality creation is at the heart and basis of each life lived on earth, to each their own reality, sphere, and potential. Each thought and emotion that we produce exits as an electromagnetic energy unit, creating atmosphere and a further possibility. Even at night, our consciousness persists, resulting in dreams and future planning. A combination of this consciousness and energy production, under some limitation, will create a physical reality, a certain condition or event. But back to our transition after death, and you may be able to understand now that many of the recently departed will first experience hospitals and rest homes, especially if they've been sick. As patients, they do not yet realize that there is nothing wrong with them because they have left their physical state behind. Seth says, this does not mean that the lifelike experience of recovering and healing are not real, any more than it means that a physical life is not real. The projection of consciousness creates the scenario, and in that way a transition from one existence to another will seem more logical and practical to the human mind. Many a funeral also will have a guest of honour amidst the company, and no one gazes into the face of the corpse with as much curiosity and wonder as the recently departed. The body may be viewed with some alarm, and attempts may be made to alert family members. Most of us will be totally oblivious to this circulating energy element, excepting perhaps a clairvoyant or a sensitive. The recently deceased may follow the ceremony with some interest, but he or she will be compelled to move on. Consider also that in this after-death state and altered existence, we will find ourselves in a lighter form. This more luminous image will appear physical to us to a large degree, as long as we do not try to manipulate the physical system. We may or may not be greeted by friends or relatives following death. This is a personal matter as always. Seth says, overall, we will be far more interested in people that we have known in past lives than those close to us in the present one, for example. Our true feeling towards relatives who are also dead will be known to you and to them. There can be no pretense there. We will not pretend to love a parent who did little to earn our respect or love. Telepathy operates without distortion in this after-death period, so we must deal with the true relationship that exists between ourselves and all relatives and friends who await us. This will be quite an experience for some, as all of our thoughts are exposed to others. I do believe there may be the occasional swear word, until the necessary thought adjustments are made. Okay, you may consider this crazy, but telepathy hides no conviction. Seth says, for those of you who are lazy, I can offer no hope. Death will not bring you an eternal resting place. We will not be automatically wise if we were not so before, but neither will there be a way to hide from our own feelings, emotions, or motives. The opportunities for growth and development are very rich, however, and the learning methods at our disposal very effective. We will examine the fabric of the existence we have left, and we will learn how our experiences were the results of our own thoughts and emotions, and how this has affected others. After death, and in this new state of being, we will become aware of the greater powers of consciousness that have existed within us all the time, with no idea of the reason behind the changing situation. Soon we will come to realize that our own thoughts are propelling us quite literally all over the place. For some idea how this can possibly happen, you may want to see the film Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio, where each new thought, as in a dream, produces another reality. Discovering this new power of a creative consciousness will be a game changer, as they say. Thought control, which some of you will have previously practiced as meditation, will be of a great help here. After realizing the significance and meaning of the life we have just left, we will be ready for the knowledge of other existences or previous lives, and thus, then and there, our awareness and intellectual capacity will expand. Do consider that most of this information, and so much more, can be gained from the book Seth Speaks. No doubt, each personal after-death experience will be different, however. In this most creative reality sphere, the higher consciousness operates at will. Opportunities for further growth will be provided through a guidance system, and to each their own. While there, we could also make plans for our next physical existence if we decide upon one. A great variety of experience will be open to us after death, all possible, but some less probable than others, according to a personal development. A hobby may turn into an occupation or be greatly expanded upon. It is also possible that we enter another system of probability entirely, and this is quite apart from a reincarnational existence. I imagine this to be other worlds, other existences, but no further information is given. In this reality sphere, relationships for the next life have to be settled upon, and this includes telepathic communication with all those who will be involved. With some, there will be a noticeable line of continuity. Families may reincarnate, taking different relationships to each other each time. Many of you could have this preference as a kind of support. Intuitively and at a soul level, we will know of these relationships. Seth says, those who understand thoroughly that reality is self-created will have least difficulty moving through this new phase of transition, illumination, and further development. Seth says, this after-death life, if we may call it that, is not a time of confusion, but of great illumination and opportunity for further growth. You now know what could happen and is likely to happen. You will not lose the personality straight away, because there has to be time for reflection. Understand that heaven or hell is just a change of consciousness, that you will select and you will determine. To believe and accept reincarnation will give us a far broader perspective on life and is sure to expand our concept of time. Is this the end? No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path, one that we all must take. Walk on, because further adventures await.